This is the story of a man who joined the United States Army, learned a trade while in the service, and then used that trade to achieve tremendous business success in civilian life. The man is Robert E. Wood. The trade he learned was merchandising, and he used that knowledge to become president of Sears, Roebuck and Company. As president, he then took Sears into retailing and made it the world's largest merchandising firm in his day. Born in Kansas City, Missouri in 1879, Robert Wood became interested in a military career and was admitted to the United States Military Academy and graduated in 1900. 5 years later, the Army sent him to the Panama Canal Zone to serve with the forces constructing the Panama Canal. There he became chief quartermaster with responsibility for purchasing and distributing supplies. When he returned to the United States, he was an experienced buyer of merchandise. At the outbreak of World War I, Wood was put in charge of purchasing all Army supplies except ordnance and aircraft, emerging at the end of the war with the rank of Brigadier General. During the war, Wood worked closely with officials from Montgomery Ward and Company, and after the war, he accepted an offer to become their general merchandise manager. In that role, Wood was a major factor in the resurgence of Ward's. One example of his impact was in automobile tires. Wood worked with the supplier to develop a tire which proved to be very popular. Ward's tire sales mushroomed and soon even passed those of industry leader Sears, Roebuck and Company. Wood was an avid reader of the Statistical Abstract of the United States, and was convinced careful study of the statistics in that book could enable him to formulate winning merchandising strategies. The most important strategy which he formulated after reading the abstract was to take Montgomery Ward and Company into the operation of retail stores. We have to, he said, if we want to hold our customer base, because the statistics clearly show that the rural households which are our customers today are moving to the cities. In order to keep them, we have to move with them, and that means opening retail stores in the cities. Ward's top management refused to buy Wood's argument. We don't know anything about operating retail stores, they said. Our purpose is to run a mail order business. That's what we do well. Unable to sell his new strategy to the management team at Ward, Wood resigned and took a job as vice president in charge of factories and retail stores with his former competitor, Sears, Roebuck and Company, who wanted him for his expertise in merchandise development. In fact, the majority of Sears executives, like those at Ward's, were opposed to the idea of running retail stores. But the wise old president of Sears, Julius Rosenwald, knew that in order to keep Wood, Sears had to let him try to make a success of the retail store concept. And so, General Robert Wood was given a chance to show what he could do. In 1925, Sears Roebuck opened its first retail store under Wood's direction. 7 more followed that year. By the end of 1927, the company was operating 27 stores, and by the end of 1929, there were 319 stores in operation, and the total volume of retail store sales was approaching the total value of mail order sales. In 5 short years, Wood had proven his point and dramatically changed the nature of Sears' business forever. Wood had definite ideas regarding the nature of those retail stores. He wanted to locate the stores not in the traditional downtown shopping areas. but rather in the outlying areas where adequate free parking space would be available. His reading of the abstract convinced him the urban American shopper would be traveling by car and therefore would be attracted by a department store with easy parking access. Another Wood idea was to make the Sears store a place where the family could shop for hard goods and big-ticket items. The cities where Sears was building its stores had populations of 100,000 or more and were therefore inevitably being served by existing department stores. But those stores, located in crowded central locations, emphasized soft goods such as men's and women's clothing. The Sears stores would be different, said Wood. Sears would emphasize hardware items, sporting goods, auto supplies, appliances, and home furnishings. Those items tended to be purchased by men or by husband and wife making a joint decision. Hence, Sears stores would be places where the whole family would come to buy. In 1928, Wood was chosen president of Sears, Roebuck and Company. With his new authority, he proceeded to introduce two additional innovations which solidified the early lead taken by Sears in retail stores. The first was in the area of organization structure. Wood firmly believed the local retail store manager needed much freedom to make decisions. Only with such autonomy could the manager meet and beat the local competitors under the special conditions which typically prevailed. But Wood also believed centralized purchasing and standardized operating procedures controlled from headquarters were essential. He therefore created a system which judiciously mixed local autonomy with central directions. That system became one of the marvels of American management history. The other innovation introduced by Wood involved standardizing the procedures of the buying organization. An overall merchandise design was developed in which all departments were to offer three basic quality categories: good, better, and best. And an emphasis was placed on merchandise development, setting specifications for products and searching for manufacturers who could meet the specifications at competitive prices. The first major effort at merchandise development was in automobile tires. Sears designed the tire, awarded a contract to a manufacturer, and conducted a nationwide contest to name the tire. A draftsman from North Dakota won the contest with the suggestion the tire be called the Allstate tire. Robert Wood's successful gamble that retail stores would pay off was matched by his decision to enter the insurance business. In the early 1930s, he became interested in offering automobile insurance through Sears retail stores. The initial idea was suggested to him by an insurance man who was a frequent companion during his morning ride to work on the commuter train. Subsequent research by Wood convinced him the concept would work. But when he took the proposal to the board of directors, they balked. Wood responded that if the board had any respect for his judgment, they would allow him to at least try the concept. The board agreed. Sears introduced automobile insurance, and Wood was proven right. The Allstate Insurance subsidiary enjoyed rapid growth and good profits. And many years after Wood's death, Allstate Insurance profits actually caught up with those of the rest of the retailing operation. Clearly, General Robert E. Wood was a leader with that rare ability to successfully take risks that others regarded as foolhardy. Perhaps the best example of this was his decision to embark upon a major store-building effort at the end of World War II. As the war drew to a close, most learned economists were predicting a post-war depression, and many leading rivals of Sears, such as Montgomery Ward and Company, decided to postpone expansion until after the anticipated depression. Again, Wood relied upon his reading of the population statistics in the Statistical Abstract. He was convinced there would be a major population boom, and a move to suburban homes in the decade following the war. He committed hundreds of millions of dollars to a program of building Sears stores in the suburbs. And history proved him right. The post-war economy expanded rapidly. The American middle class moved to the suburbs of the nation's cities, and Sears, Roebuck and Company was waiting with sparkling new retail stores. Wood's post-war growth gamble gave Sears the momentum which carried it for the next 3 decades. Sales doubled during the first 2 years following the war. Profits soared, and the competition was left at a disadvantage not to be overcome for 30 years. General Robert E. Wood retired from active service with Sears in 1954. He left behind a large and powerful organization which in many ways defied the laws of economics. He had solved the problem of retaining efficiency and discipline in a very large organization while allowing employees to exercise initiative. As Business Week magazine put it at the time of his retirement, even his competitors say that if Henry Ford was the wizard of mass production, General Robert E. Wood was the genius of mass merchandising.